Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. I'm so glad you're with us wherever you are. If you're joining us on television here in the Santa Barbara, California area at TVSB, we welcome you. And of course, so many of you are joining us all around the world at goodlifetelevision.org and at the YouTube channel and the social media platforms. We welcome you. And if you go to that YouTube channel, you can see all these great long form interviews. You can also see we break them up into what we call power clips, so you can check those out as well. And then over the last year, a lot of you have been finding us at the podcast, which if you search any podcast platform, if you search Good Life Conversations, you can find us there. And that's another way to access just great stories. These are great people. We're talking with people from all walks of life, and it's been such a joyful journey to dwell on the good stuff. We don't pretend that there's not suffering and difficulty in life because it's planet Earth. But what we dwell on is important. And so what we're dwelling on here is such great stuff. And so we hope you'll continue to follow us and tune in. And we're grateful. I'm really excited about my guest today. It's not every day you get to have a two-time Olympic champion, but we have one today. So Christian Taylor is with me. Christian, welcome.
Thanks, Dean. Happy to be here and happy to probably be maybe the first two-time Olympic champion.
Yeah, I think so. We had Tara Lipinski, who of course was a groundbreaking athlete herself, but I don't think she was two-time. I think so. Yeah, we're thrilled. I was reading about you all weekend and just kind of getting a glimpse into kind of what your life has been like. But man, what a fantastic accomplishment! And so we congratulate you and take us back, kind of growing up. Take us kind of into your early life and kind of what that was like.
Yeah, so I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia. I always like to start by saying that I feel like I had the typical all-American upbringing. So first generation American. My parents are both from Barbados. And so academics was stressed very heavily in our household. And so regardless of how much I wanted to play and be active, my parents said, yeah, books come first. So this was always the motivation. But I played baseball, basketball, soccer, football, cross country. Like I did it all. And that was one thing that I always try to give my parents a lot of love with is they allowed me to figure out who I was, figure out my strengths and weaknesses, and just go out there and play, and so that was just, I find instrumental to the longevity and success I've had in my career, but also to just figure out who I was, right? And to learn how to persevere, learn how to deal with adversity at a very young age. Learned how to deal with disappointments because, as you said, like we live in a broken world, and
Yeah.
We're gonna face adversity at some period, but to face that at an early age, I find was probably the best thing that could happen to me because my parents said, hey, when you face this in life, are you gonna back down? Or are you gonna get back up and fight? And when you're with a team, it's like, hey, you don't even have to do it alone, right? Like you're gonna put your arm out and somebody's gonna pick you up and say, let's do this together. And so that was really my upbringing, and through trial and error, I discovered that track and field, I had a niche for it. I had some talent, some gifts, and that just really catapulted me into the NCAA program where I went to the University of Florida, and now I'm a professional athlete 11 years later.
Unbelievable. What a gift your parents were for you.
Absolutely.
What a blessing, man. Sports is amazing. The more and I've been into sports my whole life, and right now I have two boys that are heavily, and they're both three sport guys. And so I love what you just said about kind of finding your way. But so yesterday we're at a football yesterday I'm in the sun for 8 or 9 hours in Santa Clarita, California at a 7-on-7 football tournament. And for my youngest boy who plays quarterback for this team. And we had the most heartbreaking loss early in the day. Felt like the ref stole it, the whole thing, just the typical, and just couldn't have been worse, right? And it's just like such a bummer. My boy threw an interception, and he was just, it was just like, here, this low moment. And then we came back, beat that team, ended up winning the whole thing, right?
Wow.
And I was thinking about that on the drive home, because I was thinking, this is the great thing about sports, is you actually learn to fail. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
What a great
I
skill
think it
that, if
takes
you think about it, what a great
fear of
skill
it.
that is.
Yes, yeah, the fear of failure, it goes out the window.
Yeah.
I think you hear social media and everyone is, like it's success, success, but failure will come. When I speak to kids in school, I say, I fail more than I succeed. You guys see the gold medals, you guys see the end result, but 9 months out of the year, I'm failing to make sure I get it right at the right time. Right. But
Yes.
how I deal with it, how I'm able to channel that and focus on learning, right? Every failure is a learning opportunity. It's not always a setback.
Yes, so good. And and I love that you're speaking to kids. The power of resilience. We need resilient young people in today's world. I mean, it is no joke. Life will kick you in the teeth, like if, and I feel like sometimes we don't. So there's a saying about this, we want to prepare the path for our children, but what we really should be doing is preparing our children for the path, you
Yes,
know, because
absolutely.
it's not life is not, picnics and, flowers. Like,
No,
life can be really tough. And so the more we teach, I mean, I love that you're saying that to kids, like resilience in the tough times is really important.
absolutely. No one is exempt from it, right? Like no one has an easy path, an easy journey. But I love what you guys are pushing with the good life. It's what you're dwelling on, what you're focusing on, right? In
Yeah.
the pandemic, everyone is struggling. Everyone has to deal with something. But am I just going to constantly look at the bad news, the negativity, or I'm going to say,
Yeah.
wow, the word is not changing. There's nothing new under the sun. Just continue to remind yourself, what am I standing on? And if I'm standing
Yeah.
on something solid,
Yeah.
regardless of what society and culture and everything that's wavering, if I'm standing on something, like I'm going to make it
That's
through, right? And the
so
battle's
good.
already won. And I think these are the things that as Christians, as believers, that we could just hold on to.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yes. We're fighting from victory, not for victory. Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Okay. Before I get I want to talk kind of about your faith journey, but so, I mean, you're, like, it's easy to say, well, this guy's a 1 in a million. You're like actually a 1 in a million, like actually probably 1 in like 100 million. Like to get to the pinnacle, to get to the mountaintop. I mean, so if we're gonna if we're gonna make a list of things that I'm not capable of doing, triple jump would be one of them. You don't want to see me triple jump, Christian. Let me promise you that. Uh, this is unbelievable. 2012 London, 2016 Rio, the whole world watching. What is that like?
It's honestly, it's something that you cannot prepare for, right? Like I've gone world championships, many national championships in collegiate stage. I've been successful at many different levels, state champ, but the Olympic Games is like nothing else because it's you really feel that the world's eyes are upon you, right? And which also means that you have now the nation's pressure on you. No longer representing Christian, right? It's like, no, I am USA. That's on my chest, right? And
Yeah,
so when
right.
people are in the stands chanting that, it's you get chills, you get goosebumps because it's like it's bigger than me now. I'm adding to the medal count. I'm adding to and trust me, in the village, I'm watching NBC every day, right? Like how are the swimmers doing? What's the basketball? What's the dream team doing? So it's
Yeah,
you feel like you got to do your part, but to then go and participate, to go and win, you just have this overwhelming pride because it's like at this moment, it's like, wow, I did this for my nation. How cool is this? And so the first Olympics were very different than the second Olympics. The first one I felt like I was young and wide-eyed, and I was just going there to have a good experience. I won and was pleasantly surprised. But then it was like, well, that's where the bar was now, right? So when I got to Rio in 2016, it was like, if you get second, I don't want to say you failed, but it's like we
Right.
expect a gold, right? Like,
Right.
um,
Right.
and so that's the added pressure, but that's also the beauty of the sport when it's like the target is on your back, fight or flight, right? Are you going to be able to take that weight and channel it and use it to propel you, or is it going to break you down? And I found that I was just able to just use this and just tap into what was in store for me and bring back another gold, and that was just very special.
We were watching uh that flag behind me, it means something. It's
Absolutely.
really special in what this represents. And so yeah, I just cannot imagine, I saw the picture of you this morning where, where you're standing out holding the flag behind you, and I was just like, I can't, that moment. I mean, you talk about a moment. Holy smokes. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
you can
amazing.
I do a lot of visualization, right? And you try to put yourself in the competition atmosphere and hear the crowd. But as you said, when it's over and your team manager comes and said, "Hey, do your victory lap," I get goosebumps now because it's like, wow, like we
Yeah.
did it. And
Yeah.
there's something powerful between the chants of USA or the national anthem. These are the moments. And in
Yeah.
Rio, I couldn't even hold it. I was just completely crying because I just thought, wow, like I did it for all you guys, right? And it was
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
it's just such a proud moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we're so proud of you. Well, fantastic. So now let's talk about take us through kind of your faith journey and kind of where it's started, where you are. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So again, being in the Bible Belt, so from Georgia, right? Like church on every corner. But
Yeah.
again, also with the Caribbean upbringing, church was part of my life. And so every Sunday, every Wednesday, vacation Bible school, Christian conferences, like that was my community. One thing my parents now later told me is that if we kept you busy, you didn't have an opportunity to get in trouble, right? So you either going to be
Right.
doing sports or you were in the church, right? I
Right.
played in the band, so I was in the church band, I was in the school band. Like I was a very active kid. I was a Boy Scout. So it's like I was always doing something. There was no, and at this time, I'm not a gamer, right? So I
Me
wasn't
neither.
playing video games. The social media was not a thing at this point, right?
Yeah.
So I think upbringing was just very different. But with this, I just found that again, I was just able to just discover myself and discover who Christ was. And I was, as I said, the church was my community. And so I knew of God, I knew of Christ, I knew, but that relationship, the bridge was not created until actually after when I was 21, after college and after I got into the professional stage where it hit me that faith is not a religion, it's a relationship.
Hmm.
And I was with Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Action. So I was a part of all these groups because this is what I knew. But when I was 21 and actually in my prayer time, I just said, God, I I know of you, but I just want to get to know you. Show me that
Mm.
you're real. Show me that this is the life you want for me. Now I'm leaving college and I have all these questions, but just like I just felt like I was yearning for something deeper.
Yeah.
And in this moment, it was just I tell everyone like this burning sensation. And
Yeah.
it's like something I've never felt before, but I just felt that, you hear about people hearing a voice and hearing his voices. I just had something burning in my chest. In that moment, I was like, you hear me, right? Like this is not a one-way thing. It was a dialogue. It was like he just came so real for me. And I came back home and I told my parents, look, I'm ready to dedicate my life. I'm ready to take on this journey. And obviously they were very excited for me. And from that point, I just said, I'm going to use now my platform. I'm going to use this opportunity to just give him glory, to shed light on him and take it away from what I'm doing, but what I'm able to do through him, and
Yes.
and for me, this was like the best way I could dream of of having a career or having talent, because just the same pride I have with representing my nation,
Yeah.
it's the same opportunity I have with, wow, look what I'm able to do through him, right? Like,
Yes.
this is not, I hate to say this, but I'm not special, right? And you can say,
Mhm.
well, maybe I can't jump as far as you, and we all have our gifts, but
Yeah.
for
Right.
me, it's just, I've just basically tapped into what I believe is my purpose in this season of life, and have just been able to say, God, with the highs and lows, like, I want to give you glory. And now with social media, I get these comments, right? I see something different. I see that when you're competing, there's a different light on you. I see a level of peace on you. I see a level of joy. Even when you lose, right? You lose with grace. What is that, right? This is something coaches don't teach you, right?
Right.
They
Right.
teach you about sportsmanship, but but applauding and cheering and hugging and loving on my competitors, right? This is not something that they teach you. And so for me, it's like, yeah, that is where God comes through. That is his love for people. And so I just want to be a walking example. And one thing I always carry with me is just that idea of, if no one is ever going to pick up a Bible, read the Bible, if they're going to experience Christ's love through you, through your actions, like, how are you going to represent him? Right. And
Yeah.
so in everything I do, that I say, I'm just going to try to be that walking Bible. I'm going to be that person that is in the store that they're going to say, man, like, I don't know what it is about you, and that just opens the door for, man, just get to know Christ. Look
Oh,
what's accessible to you, and who he is, and he just loves you.
oh, Christian, you're making my day. It's an interesting paradox, not paradox. It's kind of like a analogy. Like, you're you're represented a country, and now and then too, you're an ambassador for a kingdom.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
when you
it.
say a
Yeah.
lot of people aren't gonna, I mean, you're exactly right. A lot of people are not going to sit down and open a Bible and go, I really want to. I mean, there are a few do that, but most of
Right.
them, they see you and me.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
happen to be on television in front of millions of people. I'm on television in front of thousands of people, but it's they're seeing you and me. Like, so what are we gonna do? You know?
But that's it. But
Yeah,
if someone tunes in today, watches this, could this be that one moment that Christ
this is
has to turn
exactly,
something, right?
yes,
We're called
that's exactly right.
to be disciples, to sow seeds, and Christ said, I'll do the rest. But it's like, if
Yes,
we have this one moment in life, how are we going to seize this moment? And it's like, let's
yeah,
just give him glory.
and that, man, life is short, and we have, I mean, I we had some friends over last night. We were sitting around the fire in the backyard, and we were talking about this for like 4 hours. We were talking about just really going on offense. Like, we were just saying, at this point in our life, we're just done fooling around. Like, it's like, I don't want to
Yeah.
waste time. There's too, the whole world needs this, the whole good news. The whole world is suffering. The whole, like, it's just time to light it up. Like, we don't, let's not waste any time. You know what I'm saying? That's how
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This is really good news. Like, really good. We're coming up on
Yeah.
Easter Sunday this week. What happened is unbelievable news for the planet Earth. Every single person. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and we know, as believers, you have those Easter and Christmas believers, right? That's when they show up,
Yeah.
that's when the outfits
Yeah.
come out, and but it's like, I'm glad, regardless of, even because there's so many people that say, yeah, but Jesus wasn't born in December. If you're gonna go with the dates and all, if that's the focus, I think you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
we are focusing, he died, he went to hell, he got the keys. We are victorious through him,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care when we celebrate it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for me, it's like, we have now the gift, we have the opportunity to receive eternal peace under
Yes.
grace. He's freely given us access to this. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
And I wish this was almost the message week in and week out, daily, the daily message. But it's, again, if we have one moment, if you're sitting at the fireplace, and it just getting an opportunity to just fellowship with someone, and it's just that moment that someone can say, I can have access to this, right? Like,
Yes.
I don't have to fear death because my eternity is now written. My name is in the
Yes.
book. Like,
Yeah.
come on, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this right now and religion has got you down, that's okay. Because what Christian just said is amazing, which is living under the grace of God. This is not about keeping the laws. If you're trying to keep all the laws, you're going to be in trouble. This is about coming under that grace of God that Christian is talking about, because it changes everything,
Yes.
changes everything under the grace. Um, uh are you speaking, like, how do we get you out there? How can we help make sure that a lot of young people especially hear you? That's what I want to do.
Yeah. So as you see, I'm branded up with Heaven to the Yeah. This is now another platform that we're using on social media that I get to just actually speak to other professional athletes in all different sports. So we've had some MLB players, some NBA players, some NFL, because it's an opportunity that people can, of course, they've got their existing platforms, and
Yeah.
there are already people that are fans of them. It's also an opportunity for them to shine light on their faith journeys and what Christ has done through them. But it's for me, the people that, I don't know, other people idolize and they put on this pedestal, and for them to just become humble and to see, we have these conversations eye to eye, and it's like, wow, again, the pandemic sucks and injury sucks. Whatever challenge in life, yeah, this is difficult, but God, right? Like He
Yeah.
turn this situation around, right? And I think if people just hear that over and over, they're just going to start saying, what is it? Like, everyone is talking about, but God, He's changing this situation around. I related to this situation. Maybe I just need to figure out like what that is, right? And it's just like, I just want to just cast seeds out as
Yeah.
many as possible, right? And just hoping it falls on good soil. But that has just become my passion, just to be able to
Yeah.
just be that walking example.
What a great idea to influence the influencers.
Yeah,
What
that's
is it
it.
called? Heaven? What is it called? What is the
Heaven to
brand
the
called?
Yeah. So
Heaven to
if
the
you
Yeah.
see the heaven yeah is bold, and
Yeah.
basically Kat, the founder of it, was just saying that she just got tired of hearing people say hell yeah, because if they knew what hell was,
Right.
there's nothing to celebrate about this, right? Like, this is the thing you want to run as hard and fast as possible away from. But she said,
Right.
if we're going to celebrate something, it should be heaven,
Yeah.
because
Oh
that
yeah.
is what we're working towards, right? And so that's why the brand is Heaven to the Yeah, but heaven yeah is the bold thing, because that's what we want to catch the eye. And it's almost just like, how can we create this saying that it's like, that's when we're celebrating something, heaven yeah, that's what we're working towards. Touchdown,
Yes.
heaven yeah, like
Oh
that's
man.
victory.
So good. And that's the good life. What you're living is the good life. I mean, we think the good life is, accomplishments, or, fame and fortune or money. And man, you get there and you find out, no, it's not. You're barking up the wrong tree. What you're describing is the good life. And I think for these folks that do have great success, oftentimes they get trapped because they think, because then they're insulated, they don't need God anymore. And when we find out that we do need God, so the thing that happened, I was watching Monday Night Football when what's his first name? Ham, Buffalo Bills, the guy whose heart stopped.
Is it Damon? No, not Damon.
Yeah, it's a D. I can't.
Hamlin. Yeah. Right.
Ham,
Right.
Hamlin. Yeah,
Yeah.
John, look up his name on the Buffalo Bills guy, because I want to get it right. So when he went down, you know, the whole world stopped, and guess what happened? A prayer meeting.
Yeah.
All the players crying, and then they take a knee, because when the rubber meets the road, Christian, nobody wanted that to happen, and thank God he's
No.
okay. And he,
Yes.
man, what a miracle. Damar Hamlin. Damar
Damar.
Hamlin.
There we go.
Damar Hamlin. So what happened to Damar Hamlin? And it hit me like, unfortunately, sometimes it takes something that is above our pay grade. We can't fix this. Like, to like, it's like the guy who's in the foxhole. Then you turn to God. Like, but because then we find out, man, my money can't do, my money can't save,
Right. Right.
Hamlin's life, my fame, my followers. I need God,
Yeah.
and everybody was taking a knee at that moment, and people are praying on Sports Center. I mean, people are praying on,
Right.
and all of a sudden it's like, so I think for these, if you can influence the influencers, if you can,
Right.
and all of a sudden people realize, man, the good life, you want the real good life, build on the foundation that I've found. Build, this is not going to let you down in a world where everything lets you down. This one is not going to fail. This foundation, if you build on this foundation, the rock, the real rock, man, you can have a good life. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's beautiful that you use this example because for me, it's like it just became front and center. Who are we ultimately dependent on? It's not that, and this is not to take away from doctors. My wife is a doctor, right? So it's not the doctor's report or the the CAT scan. I'm not taking away from medicine, but at that moment, everyone goes to a knee.
That's
And
right.
biblically, it says, right? Like everyone will bow, everyone will say,
Yeah.
but it's in our hearts of hearts, we know, regardless of how much money, regardless of how much influence we have, it's like we don't have control. We don't have the
Yeah.
ultimate call, right?
Yep.
And so I just think it was I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but I think it's beautiful that in this moment, right? It's like the world was humbled.
Yeah.
And with the
That's right.
pandemic, exact same.
Yep.
We didn't have the answers, right? This was
Yep.
going on, and we were hoping and praying and expecting and science, where's science? And
Yeah.
this researcher was seeing something different than in this country. And it's like that's when all of a sudden everyone's like, God come through, right?
Yep.
And it's when you're at
Yep.
the rock bottom, but it's like, why do we have to wait to get
That's
to
right. We
this
don't have to
point?
wait. That's such a good point, Christian. I wrote this somewhere on social media during the pandemic. We were driven to our knees, and then maybe we discovered that that's the safest place in the universe. It's on our knees. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're
Absolutely.
right. Like, we know from Scripture, everybody's going to bow. Everybody's going to bow.
Yes.
The
Yes.
question is, do we want to do it now,
Right.
or and I'm saying, man, let's bow right now. Like this,
Yeah.
this is the moment, because the on our knees is the safest place in the universe.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
Tell me
spot
about your
on.
wife. Tell me about your wife real quick.
Yeah, yeah. So we actually got married. So our wedding actually was postponed during due to the pandemic. So my wife Bia, she's Austrian hurdler. And yeah, we actually competed together in London, competed together in Rio. But during the pandemic, she was in Austria, I was in the US, and the borders were closed. And so you can imagine that in February she went home thinking in 2 weeks I'm going to come back. In March the world looked very different, right?
Oh
So
my God.
this was a time that we said, okay, God, right? Like the beautiful thing is in our relationship, because we are very God centered, right? We know that is really the driving force of how the two of us can meet, from she in Europe and I'm in the United States, and how our paths met. We said only God could have done this. And so even when we were forced to be separated, we are not one saying why God, right? We're saying in this season, what do you want us to learn, right? And that they say absent makes the heart grow fonder, and we just thought, you know what, let's use this time that we would be distracted doing other things. Let's just get into the word, right? And this is when we started just diving deep into it, and found that we were just able to hear God's voice better than ever, because as I started with the religion of the faith, well, it became a relationship. When you spend
Yeah.
time with anything, you get to know it better, right? And so
Yes.
whether it's with a spouse, whether it's with a team, right? Like whatever that priority in your life is, right? If you work on cars, you spend day in day out on cars, you're going to know a car through and through, right? You're going to know how to make it perform. You and we just said, let's use that same energy, that focus. We can't go anywhere. Let's dive into the word, right? Let's get
Oh,
to know him. And
great.
it was like in this time, she would Zoom me or FaceTime me, and say, like, you wouldn't believe I heard God telling me this today, right? And it was like we were starting to hear his voice because we were spending time with him.
Oh,
And this changed, of course, our relationship. Because it was just like, okay, like now we're not just thinking, what are we gonna do? Right. It was like, no, let's take it to God first, right? He's gonna direct us, he's gonna direct our path. And that was just a blessing. And it's hard to say, right, a global pandemic was a blessing, but we just thought this was actually the greatest thing that could have happened to our marriage.
unbelievable. And then you got married after the or
We got married after the pandemic. Exactly. So basically it got postponed a year. And once the borders were reopened, I went over there because still at the beginning, foreigners were still not allowed in. And so I went over,
yeah,
we got married in Austria. Then she was my wife. And then we came back and had our original wedding, a few months later. So it was tricky and interesting and doing a lot of things with the embassy. But again, we weren't, it was not a time that, what are we going to dwell on? Are we going to say how difficult it
yeah,
is? Or are
yeah,
we going to say, wow, hey, these aren't the cards that we expected. This isn't, how we planned, drink, whatever. But guess what? It's not even about our plan, right?
yeah,
This is
yeah,
this is an opportunity that we can say, when God gives you a test, when life gives you a test, turn it, make it a testimony, right? Like,
yes,
let's just use it to say, hey, we had our part also, but it was beautiful. And we had rainy wedding and everything, didn't matter because we were
yeah.
able to do this. We were able to celebrate. And yeah, so it's just been a beautiful
How
journey.
beautiful. So your wife is an Austrian hurdler
Correct.
and a doctor?
And a doctor, exactly. Yeah. So she finished
What?
med school. So she's not practicing at the moment because she's actually coaching me now through my last Olympic Games. But yes, after that, then she'll start practicing
So you're going to compete in 24?
in 24. Exactly. Yeah. So we're preparing for Paris right now.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that
Yes.
part.
Yes.
So she's coaching you.
She's coaching me full time. So she's obviously doing because unfortunately I missed the last Olympics because I tore my Achilles 2 months before the Olympic Games. I was hoping to go and defend my title again, but life happens, and this was another
Yeah,
blessing in disguise. And then from that point on, she was like, "No, I'm going to use my experience and lead this rehab program." And yeah, it's been incredible. She's been hands on and from the track to the therapy side, we've partnered with the Olympic Committee and we've had some incredible people that God has brought into our lives. But day in, day out, it's just her and I.
oh my goodness. Do you guys want to have a family?
We do. So after the games, again, because I'm an all-in kind of guy, right? I don't like to
Yeah,
be in the gray.
yeah.
I'm not a lukewarm person. So the same energy and passion and effort that we're putting towards the sport, that's what we want to do with a family, because we know it's a lot of responsibility, right? And we don't want to just be doing it because of where we are in life or doing it because other people are wanting it, right? Like you can
Yeah.
imagine that the grandparents are applying a lot of pressure.
I
um you
understand
know
that. Yeah.
but we're saying, we have a lot of respect for what a parent is and the role that's going to have in the next generation. And so yeah,
Right.
we're going to wait for that time to be right.
How wonderful. Two-time Olympic triple jumper and an Austrian hurdler. I need to buy
Yes.
stock in your kids' athleticism, by the way. I don't know how to do that, but good
Yeah.
grief. That could be something special. Um,
Yes.
man, it is a pleasure. I want to connect you to my two sons, if maybe we could do that,
Awesome.
because I
Yeah.
would love to have them like in touch with you a little bit somehow, because
Thanks, Dean.
you are a gift. Somebody told me the other day, like, the glory of God is in a man fully alive. You strike me as a man fully alive, which, man, is it great to meet you. I'm gonna make sure a lot of people see this, because it is just a gift. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That those words really resonate with me more than you know, and it's ultimately just encouragement, right? Like that's my passion. I just want to be a light, and we're not supposed to put it under a basket. It's like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
standing on something that is just firm and strong, and Christ loves you. So whoever's watching this, like, you are loved, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. There's an incredible purpose for your life, and I just want to share that word.
Amen and amen. Thank you, man. I
Thank you.
keep going is all I can say. We're rooting
Thanks,
for you.
buddy.
We're with you, and it's What a privilege. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us. What a time. This was amazing. We're grateful. We'll see you next time. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you.